That's right. It's another late night and time for another reach into the Just Giggle It grab bag. And tonight we're pulling out with a special dedication to Fago Rain, A Man's World. Just Giggle It sketch number 73.
All right. That's right. Thank you for joining us in the chat, Fago Rain. Glad you're excited about this one. I know it's one of your favorites. Dragon, man, what is that thing that Mark Sipka is always saying about Joshua Thomas, Dragon?
Another Joshua Thomas Grand Slam.
I mean, honestly, Dragon, that's kind of where I'm at with this one. I really am. I'm kind of like, I'm so impressed that, like, once again, we've managed to just kind of pull out of the grab bag, like, oh my god, this is delightful. Like, this character is so well developed, and he has all these tics and neurotic tendencies to him, and it's kind of like this interesting sort of play on toxic masculinity in a way. Dragon, I really, really like this one.
It is quite good.
So, all right. Anything else to anything to build up to here?
Yes, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of background on this one. What I can say is that this is directed, written, and edited by Take a Wild Stab in the Dark, Joshua Thomas. And it is, I believe, based on Piper Henson's appearance in this, I would wager to guess it's an archival piece, from the Joshua Thomas Prince Vault.
It seems like it, but it's also one of those archival pieces that really shows off. Like, I'm not sure, kind of, it's funny because we have this, we need to, I feel like we need to set the record straight of exactly what the, we need like a production order and an airing order. You know what I mean? That would be great to just have a list in front of us like that. But for the time being, like, it'd be like, this does have some really, really good production values in it, specifically towards the very end, and we'll get into that. So I mean, it's definitely not like old Just Giggle It, like, like Social Not Work or 912 or anything like that. Like, you can feel like, not to diss on those at all, of course. Like, some of our favorites are very early on in that era, like Jackie and stuff like that. But you can feel kind of like more of a polish on this one. Dragon, do you get what I'm throwing out there?
I do. I think what you're trying to say is that it doesn't feel like really. Basically, with the Joshua Thomas Vault, some folks, when we do our shorthand for like basically kind of archival sketches from just sketches that either were unfinished and need kind of the spit and polish put on them, or just sketches that were just kind of locked away for reasons unknown that, for one way or stand, are either fully produced or just kind of lying in wait for a rainy day. Which, one rainy day we got this. It was wonderful. And that's the thing. This feels like more the fully produced side of things. It doesn't feel like something like ESPN Idiots. Feels like kind of like a. It is funny.
ESPN Idiots. Now that I've taken an improv class, it totally feels like just an improv riff.
It feels more like it's kind of testing kind of the effects and the camera tricks and seeing basically the backgrounds and like the the sports openings and everything. While we just have like some banters to kind of test how it looks. It feels kind of like a test movie. Test sketch, if you will, and not the worst in the world, but it just feels like something we just kind of filed away and we kind of brought out. Where this one feels like, it's a fully produced sketch, just kind of laying in wait, and in a good way. And if I were a betting man, I would wager this might have been theorized as a series of sketches that maybe that didn't take off, which is why we haven't quite seen more of them. Maybe that's the reason why. That would be it's me putting smart money on it.
Could be, perhaps.
Given the web series component of this one, it seems kind of like that to me.
Well, we need a crossover between this guy and the Hour of Darkness podcast, Dragon. That's what we really need.
Oh my god, yes! Yes!
All right, Dragon, I'm just going to throw this the hell out there, all right? And we can't really expand on it now. We don't have the time, but Just Giggle It Cinematic Universe. I know we've talked about it before, but we need to properly do a podcast about that one of these days.
One
day.
It
can happen, my friend.
Oh, sure.
Anyways.
All right, so let's see. Okay. One thing. So basically, in premise, this one seems to be just kind of a satire on kind of those blustering sort of. You have kind of your kind of your he's all bluster and testosterone authority on manliness in the form of Wade Carrington and his brother Todd, kind of running this web series. And I think it's kind of a satire. And sometimes you have just these these kind of like I think they've kind of gone again. This might be another reason why we didn't see it till later. Again, assuming it's an archival piece, which I think Smart Money dictates that. But the fact of the matter is, you saw web series like this a lot more in the early days of YouTube. Am I correct? Like kind of these web series where you would you'd send in emails to be read in advance and everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, more specifically, Dragon, I feel like this is kind of commentating on talking head commentary channels. The Amazing Atheist springs to mind. I have no idea. Like the Amazing Atheist is more of a neck beard kind of guy, but basically it's the same sort of idea of like this guy sitting in front of a camera. Honestly, the Amazing Atheist has an idiot brother that reminds me a lot of Todd, and that's where I'm kind of drawing my comparison from. But I'm sorry, I'll back off on that comparison. But no, like, honestly, Dragon, in the early days of YouTube, I mentioned that guy because he's one of the few that's still working today. But in the early days of YouTube, there was a crap ton of people like that would just sit in their garages or their basements and take emails, and they usually have like an idiot relative behind the camera. So yes, Dragon, this is very much old school YouTube. I definitely feel like it's a direct parody. Like honestly, Dragon, if this was coming out if this came out when we were doing season 1, I feel like this could have very easily been like a broad spectrum comedy satire piece, because of course season 1 we focused on each episode having one original sketch and one parody sketch. This could have very easily fallen into the parody side of things in a broad sense.
Sure. Now, real quick, so Fago Rain's just asking, I had to step out for a brief moment there, and now she's back and asking what did she miss? Nothing. So we haven't dived into it quite. We're still in kind of that preamble phase. We're kind of talking about the sketch and about to do a plug here. But
We're sort of talking about the influences of early YouTube on this sketch. How this sketch is kind of like a commentary on how YouTube in the early days was filled with talking heads, and they'd usually be hanging out in their basement or their garage, and they'd have like an idiot sibling or relative behind the camera. And it's very much a thing. Like I feel like the Amazing Atheist is probably the most well known in this genre, but it's very much a thing that I really remember happening in the early YouTube days for sure.
all right, well, again, another example. I mean, again, kind of getting off of the YouTube comparison for a moment. I mean, you also have like like kind of some other famous examples, like the Amanda Show, where you have like some sketch, like the Truth and Dare sketch on the Amanda Show. Basically, people would email in their dares for Amanda Bynes and kind of Drake Bell. And I forget what their sibling.
Didn't Penelope Tate have some kind of write-in show segment?
Well, I know
For
obviously
the Amanda fan club.
I think so. I mean, basically, what would happen is Penelope Tate, she many a time would basically show people a website and would do like kind of like a gag like that. And so I think maybe once there was like a write-in show, like like, email me please. That's what that whole thing. No, but I remember like Drake Bell and Amanda Bynes. They had this thing where they played like these siblings. We basically kind of took like an online kind of truth. Or it was pretty much like in the basement or in the garage or something. Or basically they'd take in dares online. Like Josh Peck would like send in an email and say, "I dare you guys to soak your heads," or like something like that. There's something ridiculous and over the top. But that's kind of again, it's kind of what we're kind of going for here. I mean, the perfect comparison I have again, not as like kind of on the not as like kind of clever as this one, let's say, but just something kind of close to my heart. There was this web series way back when, pretty much in the model of like you send in questions and it's an interview show to an extent. It's called Pool's Pit. It was kind of like recently we talked about It's Just Some Random Guy. When they did the kind of the I'm a Marvel, I'm a DC.
I'm a Marvel, I'm a DC parody videos.
I want to say in the height of that, you had knockoffs, and Pool's Pit was somewhat of a knockoff, but the thing it had going for it was Deadpool using the Marvel Legends Deadpool figure. He'd be behind a desk and he'd have like a talk show and he'd answer fan questions.
Oh, that's clever.
People nice. Would either I think it's in the comment section or if it wasn't email, I think it was like literally a comment section of YouTube videos. Like in the previous video, they'd send in comments and questions and stuff, and Deadpool would read off, and he'd have a guy off camera. It'd start off being Weasel, and then he'd have a co-host, and they'd interview other Marvel Legends figures. That'd be other personalities in the Marvel universe. Really clever, really nice. And anyway, so there's a bunch. And the point is, like, you have like the guy off camera that would basically be the guy who's doing the whole thing as like Weasel or as like a Deadpool supporting or Bob, as a supporting character. Anyway, point being, again, it's kind of what I'm getting at with kind of the comparison of what we're doing here with Wade Carrington. Anyway, before we go any further, Tiki, speaking of speaking of things and stuff you can find on YouTube
and things. So, folks, if you want a web series that encompasses excellent storytelling, great writing, and things, gotta try that out there, see if it works. Check out Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World. Most of you watching probably already know all about it right now. So, Dragon, give them the most abbreviated spiel that you possibly can.
All right, fine, folks. After San Diego Comic-Con, I know you're craving some DC. I know I am. And you know what? The Batman did not show up to Comic-Con. We didn't get any Joker footage. But you know what? If you need Harley Quinn and the Joker real bad, like there's no tomorrow, fear not, dear friend, dear viewer. Go to Just Giggle It. Go to YouTube. Type in Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World, and you're going to find a slew of some of the best representation of what these two characters are about, to put in an entirely new situation you've never seen them in before. We take Harley Quinn and the Joker, as faithful as you've ever seen them done, and we put them in L.A., and they kind of deal with kind of the razzmatazz of going to L.A., kind of being starstruck, but more accurately, you go to L.A., they're kind of laying low in L.A. in plain sight to an extent, where they're kind of trying to start anew. And of course, like, LA's not going to recognize two crazies because it's populated by crazies. You get to see kind of Joker kind of make his mark in a whole new town, as well as Harley Quinn, and shenanigans ensue. It's great. You're going to watch the first episode. I'm just going to read the future here, folks. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You're going to watch episode 1, thinking, okay, they told me to check this out. I'll give it a shot. You're going to watch it. Then at the end, oh my God, I got to see the next one. It's so great. There's a hook at the end of this. I'm loving what we're doing with the Joker and this roommate character. I got to see what's going to happen. You're going to watch it. You can watch the next one, the next one, the next one. You're going to get to episode 5. You're going to be blown away. And you say, how could it get any better than this? I need to see the next one. Then you're going to be disheartened to find out, wait a minute. Why does it stop here? Folks, don't fear. Episode 6, it's done. It's in the can. It's just waiting for episode 5 to get up to 1 million views, which is already halfway there. Just watch it, spread the word, spread it around. And folks, there are even better episodes on the horizon in production currently. But again, we got to get episode 5 up to 1 million views. If Endgame has become the highest grossing movie of all time, we can do this. We can. In your hands, folks. Watch it. Be blown away. And if you can't wait till the Harley Quinn animated show on DC Universe, if you don't have DC Universe, next best thing, possibly, most likely even the better thing, Harley Quinn, the Joker versus the Real World. Check it out. Watch it. Do yourself a favor. Do yourself a kindness, dear friend. Anyway, back to the sketch.
All right, Dragon, how do we start things out, my friend?
Well, let's see. We start with Joshua Thomas's character before us, a man by the name of Wade Carrington. But
Dragon, I feel like this. I'm just going to throw this out there right now. This guy is in the great mold of like the Ken Armands of the world, of like an amazing name for an amazing character in the JGI verse.
I swear to God, I tried looking this up to see if this is a parody of a certain person, and I racked my brain because I kept finding Wade Carrington that looked a little bit like this guy, but weren't the same. It wasn't based on. I think it was completely coincidental. There was like another Wade Carrington looked a little bit like this guy. I tell you, I doubt it's the same guy.
Dragon, I gotta tell you, it's well, hold on, we'll get into the semantics of it really quick, but folks, this is what Wade Carrington sounds like. Let's get a little taste of Wade Carrington.
I'm Wade Carrington, and I'm a man.
Yes, he says this while sitting up from a toilet.
Speaking of which, so I really want to give him a lot of major props. I love this. Is going to sound so ridiculous, so bear with me. It's going to sound like, okay, now they're really looking at everything, but seriously, something to appreciate here. One, I think we have a really great set for all of this. By the way, I think the set looks tremendous. Even the bathroom, man, like, has that nice kind of rock wall behind it and everything. It looks uncomfortable. It looks awesome though. you have this, you have this really great set. You have this really excellent music. You got, I think the camera setup is really good, especially for Wade Carrington's introduction, because he just essentially looks like he's just sitting up looking at the camera. If he really had the discerning eye, would point you to, okay, there's toilet paper there, therefore he's on the toilet. But again, it's like the perfect. I kind of went on with this when we talked about the Mad Men. Parody with Piper Henson, kind of the cleavage shot, let's say it. But the fact of the matter is, I love how we're censoring things, but having a really great shot at the same time here. Where again, and on the toilet for the reveal, as he sits up, you think he's just kind of sitting in an upright position. And of course, he gets up, and again, I'm a man, as he zips up and he flushes the toilet and he leaves the seat.
That's right. I'll take my shit when and where I please.
Exactly, and the ultimate symbol of man leaves the seat up.
Oh, God.
Inconsiderate man, but the man all the same.
Yes, man.
Yes.
All right.
Anyway, but seriously, I mean, that's a really well composed shot, isn't it?
It is for sure, and we'll get into more of the. I feel like what's interesting about this trick is that here's the thing, like in terms of like the composition that we have here with the shots. I feel like the shots where it's not talking head are deliberately better than the shots where it is talking head and the brothers behind the camera.
Yeah, I tell you, this sketch, what it really has going for is that, again, this, even if it's early JGI as it would seem to be, I love that we're doing. This is what I love. Even in their earliest days, they're doing a lot with any constraints that they do have. Where again, there's not a lot here, but it's. Especially when we get to the second half of this, the second, when we go on location, let's say, we're doing a lot with very little. We're making the most of our limitations. And that's kind of what I applaud JGI for when they're doing this. Fago Rain says she might have to watch this one later, but she loves it and she'll definitely watch it later. That's awesome. Thank you, Fago Rain, for tuning in. Doing this all for you, Fago Rain.
Fago Rain. Fago Rain.
Raining Fagos like Gene Kelly.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Fago.
All right, Fago Rain rocks. Okay, anyway, back on point here. Yes. So again, speaking of production values and everything, then we have the opening credit sequence, which I really appreciated, by the way. I love this was so neat, and I love just whatever music they found us. I know we have kind of a. I believe Joshua Thomas does the rendition of the song, but the score they're pulling this from, it's really, I believe it's like one of those kind of sound library scores. I believe it's like kind of a YouTube-based score library. I'm not entirely sure about that. The point being, it's kind of a library of score. They pulled it tremendously well, because I've never heard this before and just hearing it here, but it feels like something you've heard before. It just feels indicative of a style, and I love it, where you have just this opening credit sequence, which is, a man's world, and it's a man's world. Dun, dun, it's we're hearing that, and basically we have the opening credits for this fictional web series, and they're putting the extra elbow grease in this because again, we're not doing the typical JGI thing where it's like someone's just typing in a man's world. It's like, okay, we're in the middle of this right now, the man's world, and we have we kind of explore the set a little bit. We see this very Adam West looking Sinatra photo. I know it's Frank Sinatra, but at first glance I was wondering, couldn't that be Adam West? Well, it's not. Anyway, the point being, we see some Jack Daniels again. Basically, Sinatra's it's like Sinatra's spinach to pie is Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels is a man's drink. To quote Harley Quinn, the Joker versus the real world, for those who haven't seen it. I always think a real drink has a manly name, like Johnny Walker, Jack Daniels. Anyway, of course,
Captain Morgan.
By all means. Hey, Captain.
I'm saying like that could apply to either genre, gender.
Well, fine. Well, nowadays, especially.
Captain's Dragon.
Sorry?
I'm just fucking with you. I said, are you saying that women can't be captains?
Anyway.
Anyways.
Now we're going to get letters. I hope you're happy. Anyway. Anyway, so the point is we have like the credits of like Wade and Todd Carrington. They're appearing on the screen. We see the fireplace shot. Then we hear like a music cue that I really love. We hear this excellent music cue. What does it sound like? I
Welcome
love
to
it.
A man's world. Your chance to suck out the wicked teeth of manly information.
All right, Go ahead.
Anyway, so I love that cue, and as you kind of heard alluded to, I just love that we have this beautiful music cue applied to
It's
this
a
really
nice like fade in, like transition. Almost kind of reminds you of like a Bond theme or something.
exactly. It's very John Barry-esque. Very. I mean, well, let me. I mean, I know John Barry did the. I believe John Barry did the main dun, dun, the main Bond theme, but everything else is done by someone else. I want to say Jerry Goldsmith. I'm not sure. But yeah, basically,
Well, I
whoever's
mean,
doing
each Bond theme, like I don't know when this started, but each Bond song is a popular artist for the most part, from what
What
I
I'm saying,
know.
you have the Bond song, but I mean, like the score is like it's like a three-pronged thing. You have like the theme by John Barry. You have the main song that opens everything, and then you have like a score. But I think the point is, I think what you're saying is it sounds like a Bond, like an
I'm saying
opening
it's like
Bond song.
reminiscent of like the average Bond song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Right.
Anyway, so but with that, though, we had that playing again over as even with Bond, we had some many times you have like the suggestive psychedelic opening many a time, or like kind of the really just kind of like just kind of the slow jazz kind of visual, if you will. In this case, we have basically breast mounted on a wall. So again, it's like a man's truly prized possession. Is it the head of a stalked prey? Heck no, that's not interesting at all. Breast,
God.
yes. Giver of life. The elixir of life rests in what's on the wall here, one could say.
Classy.
No, no, but in all seriousness, it's kind of like it's just a ridiculous show. We just have this great push into just like showing, okay, this is what we're in for, folks. This is the guy that's perfect thing to put in the opening credits. It tells you everything you need to know about this guy. That he puts a pair of breasts on the wall. It's ridiculous. Such an Austin Powers.
He thinks it's like a classy move too.
But again, they've kind of legitimized it with the music, just underscoring the absurdity of it.
That's what I'm saying. The music and the transition and how well it's edited.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so after the opening credits,
I've got a picture of like the set in front of me. Let's go through it really quick. He's got like, of course, he's got his glass of Jack Daniels. He's got the bottles of Jack Daniels. He's got a guitar. He's got the fireplace. He's got a basketball. The Frank Sinatra picture.
Yep.
So point being, you know what it kind of reminds me of, Dragon? It honestly sort of reminds me of the kind of sets that you and I used to come up with back when we were doing video podcasts.
Back during those sad days, yes.
Hey man, I still am proud of the set we came up with for Bates Motel Season 5. That was genuinely the best set we ever did.
Well, I still do enjoy the Bates Motel props. Particularly, my favorite prop of all was the the Lee Berman's. Well, I mean, one, I always loved the Bates Motel sign, but beyond that, I love the Lee Berman memorial.
The Bates Motel sign was excellent.
It was.
Also, I particularly loved the angelic framed picture of Norma. That turned out so good.
That did, but there's that Lee Berman sign, though. Stupid sign!
Anyways, we can talk more about this next week.
Right. Anyway, back on point. So yes, so points we've established the set here. Really good says like drinking. I want to say Jack Daniels out of the brandy glass, but maybe has brandy along with the Jack Daniels on the table. I don't know. Point big. So let's see. So we have this. So we have
what's your alcohol, Dragon?
I'm sorry.
What's your alcohol of choice?
I don't know. It'd probably be. I'd probably go for the brandy if I'm being honest.
Really? You're a brandy guy?
Out of the two, I'm just not going through all the listings. Just maybe out of those two options.
No, I'm just saying, like in general, like for example, I'm more of like if I have to have it like mixed with soda or something, I'll take like a vodka soda. But generally speaking, give me a good margarita any day of the week. I'm kind of a tequila guy myself.
Right. Well, I mean, look, I mean, anyway, it's not important, so let's move on.
I'm putting you on the spot here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, anyway.
I was just curious. Anyways, go ahead.
So, let's see. So we have this great. I'm sorry. So basically, yes, after we have that great wide shot where we see the, we see everything there, and we have the reveal of Carrington. Basically, it's kind of like the great wide shot of our Texan expert Wade Carrington. He's saying, yes, I'm Wade Carrington. Get ready to get a suckle of the weekly teats of manly information.
Got a question? Email it to amansworld at gmail.com.
mansworldwade@gmail.com.
Oh,
I
right,
wonder
right.
if
Mansworldwade@gmail.com.
part of me wonders if that would work, but that'd be maybe a little too elaborate for what just.
Oh my god, dude! I would love it if it did.
We're speaking our huge advocates of calling shows on that when they put that they're giving all of like Better Call Saul. They have all the numbers you can actually call, and it still delights me.
Dude, if Joshua Thomas is running an email account for this character, that would just be so glorious.
To be fair, Ryan Reynolds does the same. I believe he still does it with Peter from Deadpool 2. Peter has a whole Twitter page.
Oh my god, that's great.
I want to say still updates. At least it updated for at least past the year Deadpool came out, which would be this year.
Reagan, I regret, like, you're going to hate me mentioning this, but I regret never doing a Twitter page for Hipster Donald.
Anyway.
Back when Hipster Donald was still alive and not decapitated.
Just decapitated and incinerated. Oh, yes. Anyway.
We'll talk about Hipster Donald next week, my friend. Don't you worry.
Now things are taking a dark turn. Anyway. Anyway, getting back on point, so we have speaking of technical hiccups, we do have some technical hiccups here where the idea is like Wade's about to
I thought you meant that we had technical hiccups on our end. I was like, anyways, go ahead. That was funny. Anyways, my heart kind of sunk for a second.
No, we're all good so far. Anyway, okay, the point being, you have the technical hiccup of basically Wade's kind of given the send your questions, and basically kind of a jump cut here with the idea is that Todd, played by the wonderful Alex Poncio.
Off-screen
Poncio. Anyway.
What is that? Alex Poncio, like, Mouse Club March?
I keep thinking like the Oreo song, but with Poncio. Well, I guess that would more be like Poncio. That's the Oreo.
Oh,
yeah, no, it's Poncio. Okay, just real quick. Okay, I know with Ponce. The Ponce is actually a really deep cut Batman reference. Now I'm thinking about it because I keep thinking there's this music cue Shirley Walker did. Basically, I had that the Poncio.
All right, man, we're getting way off track here.
Well, you started.
I know I did, but fun times regardless.
Anyway, so let's see. So Poncio, of course, this is a running gag on the live streams. It's kind of ceased since then, but I wonder if this is the point of genesis for it. I wonder because there's this running gag in the live streams where Poncio would be off camera, and he would be saying to Joshua Thomas, I guess to break him up or just kind of mess with him, he would say, "Rat." He'd be saying "rat." Before it was a thing with Endgame, folks, other people would say rat. And that's the thing, so Poncio would be, maybe Poncio saw it coming. I don't know. The point being that Poncio would just say rat, and then it was like to crack Joshua Thomas up. And I wonder if like the off-camera stuff here is, the way he portrays Todd is hysterical here. This is, I'm sorry, Wade.
It's like Poncio looked up Endgame spoilers, and he was like, oh no, that's how they solved the Ant-Man thing? Oh, that's terrible. And it just kind of traumatized him, like, rat.
So look, I guess the best way of putting it is we kind of have Poncio doing Joshua Thomas's bagel voice. It's a deep cut live pull, I guess, folks. The point is he's doing this funny voice. We're off to the side by Poncio off camera. He's going, I'm sorry, Wade. I just did another take because of your stutter. It's just we have this angry Wade. And again, this is the dynamic. We have just the very well incompetent Todd off camera, just kind of disrupting Wade's flow, and then Wade just getting pissed off and just like, Todd, just press the record. Just press record and shut up. I'm sorry. And of course, he has like the email thing. Email your questions here, and then he says, "Oh God." And also he says, "Until he wants to." By the way, to the big girls out there, please stop sending me pictures. And this is what Joshua Thomas does so well. He just knows how to hit the right beats here. He just hits like a genuine plea to the women out there, like big girls. Stop sending me pictures. It's not like all the bluster. Just like, please, just stop. This is a regular thing that's happened. No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, again, just to make things PC, and this is the genius of it here, where we have a really offensive character. Again, not offensive in the sense of, again, like that's the gag. The gag in that this character is, he's playing kind of like one of these blustery, mansplaining, just kind of like kind of guys. And you have this really sweet, innocent character, just kind of calling him on, and just kind of disrupting his flow, taking the mystique and the machismo away.
It's a Ma. She's put on a few pounds over the years.
God. Every time he yells Todd, I kept
You know what it
cracking
kind
up.
of vaguely reminds me of, Dragon? Because I'm about 6 episodes into this show now.
Is it Frasier?
It's like vaguely Frasier and Niles.
Niles! Oh, for
Like
God's sake,
Frasier and
Niles.
Niles were a lot less class. It's like the same dynamic, except if they were like white trash.
Right. Well, the funny thing is, I gotta admit, the Wade character, he's kind of dressed like Frasier. It's kind of like, what if you had
That's what
kind
I'm
of like,
saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
what if you had a less refined Texan Frasier? I guess is what you'd have in Wade Carrington.
Oh God.
Anyway,
Okay.
now
We'll
getting back.
definitely talk about Frasier on the memoirs. Don't you worry.
Oh, goody. All right, so let's see. So Todd. Anyway, so point being, we after like the whole this is thing with the mother. Oh yes, 5 facts. Here are 5 facts, and I love the little cue by the way on this, like bum bum as we just keep going between the 5 facts. Real good edit. The editing is superb on this whole sketch. So we have how much wood could a woodchuck chuck for woodchuck?
Woodcut chuck wood.
69.
69.
Just think, guys, what if they would have took out the clever humor of Austin Powers and you gave you know what if oh god anyway then we have my favorite one this is the best gag in the whole thing for me personally. Mustaches will die with Tom Selleck.
Everything's bigger in Texas, including racism.
Men drink beer dark. Single men drink whatever they want.
No, it's men who get regular sex drink whatever they want.
Right, sorry, but I botched that one. All right. Then we have the really good one here. George Clooney was the worst, and of course this one I can relate to. George Clooney was the worst Batman. And then we have just Ponzi off to the side. I love that man. I love George Clooney.
Shut the fuck up, Todd. I love how Carrington's voice gets like way less defined when he's talking to Todd. You know, it's like he's kind of putting on this Frasier Crane front when he's on camera, but then when he's like addressing Todd, it like the facade kind of comes down.
Yeah. You have like the I'm Frasier Crane and I'm listening versus the whole like although I'm Wade Garrett, there's put on the southern charm of it all there just kind of disappears with Todd.
Also, Dragon, I think I'm going to argue that Justice League Affleck is the worst Batman.
Oh, that's not true.
At least Clooney was having a good time.
Yeah, Batman having a good time, right?
Like at least Clooney was like embracing the goofiness of it. Affleck, like, look, Affleck Batman and Justice, Batman versus Superman is fine. He's not the best. He's not the worst. He's fine. But yeah, Affleck Batman and Justice League is like the more I think about that movie, anyways.
Anyway, getting back on point.
I'm the Batman and Robin defender.
Okay, in all seriousness, though, I do love that what we're doing here in terms of breaking down the comedy of all this here. It's really selling you legitimately on the web series, like an entertaining web series you would watch just for the fun.
I would totally watch this web series, man.
Yeah, we have because we have the segments, we have the editing, we got the music, we got the back and forth with Todd. Like, I'm sold on this web series. They're doing a great job there. And then, so that's kind of the halfway point. And then we have, of course, in the interruption, we also have the other great line from Todd here. Mom's gonna be home in an hour. Maybe we should take boobies off the wall, Wade.
Oh God.
Zip it. Okay, I'll be quiet.
I'll be quiet now.
Like honestly, this too feels a little bit like the basically the next segment we're about to get to here. Basically, we get into the investigative portion of things, and that feels very SNL-esque. Where it's like Eddie Murphy when he went undercover as a white man, and like it's kind of stuff like do the investigative journalism within a farcical sense. It was really funny.
Sure.
Let's see. So we have right. So he's received emails about men losing money to erotic dancers, and he's basically
that's right. Those dimly lit baby powdered saleswomen.
Yes.
Which begs the question: do strippers really have souls?
He forced himself to go to a strip club to find out. Forced himself in the loose sense. So
I have to do some intense on-field research. much.
Basically, he kind of pulls a vague Michael Moore here, where okay, he's going on, he's going out in the world and he's throwing himself in a situation to find things out. Okay, he's going to be
Michael Moore. Also, Dragon, I didn't want to bring this up. I really didn't, but like looking at the lighting in this particular shot against the red, his goatee looks a lot like Lin-Manuel Miranda's.
I see it. Oh my god!
I really didn't want to bring it up, Dragon, but you see it, right?
I do.
Rarely see Joshua Thomas with facial hair, but this is very Lin-Manuel Miranda-esque.
You know what? Oh my god! I was looking at him now. He could do a perfect. Oh my god, that'd be hysterical. Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Josh, please do a Lin-Manuel Miranda sketch, please.
Oh, we know he likes Hamilton. So
hey. Yeah, exactly.
Rule it out. Anyway, let's see. The point being, he's doing some investigative journalism here, and he's and this is where we graduate from the simple setup, which already is doing the job wonderfully. Then we get to the broader comedy, and then of course we amp up the ambitiousness of the whole thing. We're going really big.
Oh my God,
so in the heart of big ones, so we go to big ones. Big ones, you have this clever, again, a clever workaround with the lighting and the positioning here, because it seems like, okay, they're on kind of one of those, kind of leathery bar sets. Even again, he's sitting on it, therefore you wouldn't see it. So he's kind of sitting somewhere, and you have, the lights and everything, just kind of implying the space is kind of full, and he's like kind of sectioned off into a certain area, maybe even a private room. I don't know.
I gotta tell you, Dragon, I buy it. I really do. Like, it's not one of those situations like oftentimes we see his living room double as a restaurant or something. You're like, all right, that's clearly a living room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is very much. I really do buy it as like kind of like just a seedy strip club, and I think the red lighting and the the cornered off location kind of makes all the difference. I think it's great set work.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's see. So he's sitting down with a stripper, but Tiki. Not just any stripper.
Oh God! Oh man! Now, if any woman could give legitimately to the stripping profession, it's got to be Piper Henson, right?
Well, maybe we should rephrase that a little bit. If anyone can bring some great acting to the stripper profession, Piper Henson. Again, I think it's all coming out really wrong here. The point being, we have Piper Henson playing this stripper character, Persephone.
I love that name. I
do love that name too. Again, it's kind of the more astute kind of the stripper names. It's not a Candy. It's not a. It's not a. I don't like a. I can only think of like food names right now. Why am I? There's like, you gotta be better stripper names than candies. I don't know why I'm blanking on it right now. Anyway, moving on. Point being, we have Persephone here with kind of like a non-generic stripper name on Persephone, and she's. You know what's kind of funny? I don't know. Maybe she has like a Greek thing going on here, with like Greek mythology. Because she's kind of dressed like Meg from Hercules with the purple getup. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was like anyway. Basically, we have Piper Henson kind of.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure Persephone is also a Greek goddess of some kind.
That's what I'm saying. I'd imagine there will be like a Greek parallel and
there is kind of Italian there, yeah.
And again, we know from the whole Disney princess thing, Joshua Thomas, and we've always known this. Joshua Thomas, big Disney fan. I don't know if there's a vague correlation of like all the colors she could be wearing right now, purple. I don't know.
Well, maybe she's just a big fan of Marie from Breaking Bad.
Well, sure. Again, just purple is an existing color. There's always that third option. Anyway, so the fact of the matter is,
the logical option, Dragon. I scoff at that.
I know. What was I thinking?
It can't just be a color.
Okay. Anyway, so in all seriousness, so she's basically overplaying, and I don't mean this in any way. She's just kind of playing the over the top stripper here. How are you? How are you? Like, I'm good, sweetie. How are you? It's just, I'm good and everything. So, are you sure you want an interview and not a dance? I'm not wasting $25. Dance. Basically, dance while he's doing the interview. He wants to get his $25 out of this girl. So, before she's performing a lap dance as the interview goes on, he's asking, "How much do you make a night?" This is somewhere between $500 to $900. Pretty good. Are you sexually
attracted to, would you say, 10% of your male clientele. Oh hell no! All the guys in here are ugly.
Except you, baby.
God.
And then she, this is funny. So he brings out $1. He basically just takes the dollar and just gives us this eye roll of like, yeah, I meant you too. It's a perfect look that communicates so much of like, yeah, just another, just another lousy day for poor old Persephone. So then he grabs her. He grabs her by the shoulders here and kind of shakes her for a second there. And time for the $1,000,000 question, sweet cheeks. Are you a vampire? He just looks at camera. And it's really great. Just looks at the cameras. They're going over the top. This is where so again, we'd have the SNL sketch, and now we've like ripped the wheels off the wagon as we're going down the hill right now. I was like, oh, I don't mean that. I don't mean going downhill. I mean, it's like now we're just like the wheels have come off. We're just going full speed ahead. When you look in the mirror, do you have a reflection? Do you have a soul?
He's like trying to slowly build to it as if he's being subtle about it, right? Like, all right, I'm gonna ask some questions about the profession, kind of get her comfortable. You know, he's like trying to be like a tactful interviewer, right? Who's like, you know, he's like basically trying to Frost Nixon it. You know what I mean? Where he's like, you know, he's just like trying to like go in like, all right, I'm gonna get him comfortable with some softball questions. Then I'm going to go in for the gun-roll. The problem is, of course, no tact, no subtlety. After one question, it's like, all right, and then this one, I got to ask.
Kind of lacking the song and dance kind of David Frost tactic there.
Exactly.
You know, I got to tell you, of all the references I thought we were going to make tonight, Frost Nixon was not one that came across my mind. I appreciate it, though.
Hey, there you go.
Anyway, let's see. So basically, do you have a soul? And then the SNL farce is now in full effect. You're now Father McBride, played by the wonderful Jesse McBride. It's been a while since we've seen him. Jesse McBride enters as Father McBride, which, by the way, is part of the cinematic universe of JGI, according to Joshua Thomas as well. He is Father McBride. Of course, we saw him in I Don't Watch Porn.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Didn't even realize that. Yeah, sure.
So, you know, he's basically spurts in some holy water on her.
It's like, you know what? I would like to think that Father McBride is actually secretly Ken Armand.
Oh God, that's a show I would watch. Ken Armand with this other,
like it's like the priest who like wants to like break. It's like the priest Breaking Bad essentially, except his idea of Breaking Bad is just selling overpriced fruit.
But he has a religious calling.
But he gets a thrill out of it, Dragon. He gets a real thrill out of it.
Basically, imagine Breaking Bad meets the character from The Leftovers, the Eccleston character.
Oh, Matt.
Matt, yes. Anyway.
Sure.
There was a show called The Leftovers, if you didn't see it. Kind of similar to the end of Infinity War. I'll say that much to get you hooked. Anyway, back on point.
Yeah, just a little bit, except it's basically if you liked the first hour of Endgame, watch The Leftovers. Anyways.
I liked all 3 hours of Endgame, so I'm
just saying if you appreciated the slow kind of like meandering, like, sure. Oh my God, what did become of this world element?
Gotcha. Anyway, so of course, like he's throwing holy water on her, and she's like burning. So this is just where it's completely going off the rails here. She's looking at the camera. It's like a really great kind of shot we have here. She's like her eyes go red. Like,
this is what I was talking about with just the crazy. Like, I think the production values on this are great.
Yeah. Anyway, so of course, like she's burning and everything. Have like this great.
You can see like after effects of mist coming from her when the holy water gets sprayed on her.
My favorite detail is kind of they added this metallic kind of clang to her voice, like it was basically it's almost like a Godzilla effect, almost like to her voice. Anyway. So then we then smash cut from that to a bloodied and injured Wade Carrington saying, "The answer is no. Until next time." And of course Todd chimes in with, "Oh, Wade, I'm not sure we recorded. I think we might have to do it again." And of course, as this is said, we cut to the black screen, like the credits pops up. Todd was the editor. And that's all she wrote. Well, of course, we have a subscriber tag where Joshua Thomas.
Like a rather harsh one at that. Oh my god.
When we get to it one day, the subscriber tag is kind of the perfect audition piece for the actor I've chosen for Joshua Thomas in the biopic. I'll say that much.
All right.
Won't say who quite yet, but you'll see. You'll find out. Anyway.
Okay, so first of all, he just does that thing that JGI likes to do, where at the end of the sketch they kind of laugh at their own joke, essentially, not in a bad way, just in kind of like a "oh, wasn't that funny" sort of way. And then he just like ha 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 ha. But then it takes a turn for the dark really quickly, Dragon. Like this is almost like a roller coaster of emotions in the subscriber tag. Like he laughs, then he just fucking quickly says "fuck you." Just it's bleeped out. It's like bleep you. Subscribe.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. There's something about like I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's just like it's a bold choice.
And it is. All right.
So, final thoughts, Dragon. This is honestly one of my favorite ones that we've covered in a while. Like, I'm not gonna say it's like in my top 5 all time of JGI stuff that we've done on the grab bag or anything, but it honestly might be in my top 10. I think from top to bottom, it's really well paced. It's only about 4 minutes long, but you feel like it feels like it accomplishes a lot in those 4 minutes because we establish this character really well. We establish the dynamic with his brother. We establish the whole format of the web series. We have really great use of lighting with the strip club, and that feels like a really lived-in location. I mean, just overall, it's just a really impressively produced 4 minutes. So, yeah, I like it quite a bit.
I think this sketch is a testament to the comedic chemistry shared between Joshua Thomas and Alex Boncio. It's it's a great satire of web shows with some of those web shows, yeah, and basically web series in kind of the positive light, but also in just kind of the satirical light. Sometimes you have those overconfident self help hosts. Sometimes the ones that have like all the answers. And in this case, again, if you want to be kind of today about it, you say they're mansplaining everything, or I guess it's kind of like the hook of this, or more so like having authority on manliness, almost like God, it's almost like the George Liquor effect, like almost like a George Liquor. This is what a man does, like meat, like this.
Oh man, that's yeah. Anyways,
I hear you though. Much more charming version of that here. I'm saying you just kind of like sometimes you have those sorts of web series where it's like sort of caution ones like I really just kind of speaking from the firing from the hip, speaking from the gut without really kind of finessing it. And we kind of satire that here. And again, it's classic JGI, amp up the absurdity to a direction you really didn't see it coming. Because I can speak of that. I did not see it going quite the vampire strip club direction. I didn't see that coming. I wouldn't have predicted that. Might just be me. I'd like to think I'm not alone, but I don't know.
All right.
But again, it's so authentic. And I want to make this point, though. I do think at the end of the day, because the beginning of this is so authentic and funny at the start, you can get away with doing that. You can get away with the ladder. You can get away with going off the rails. And that's just really smart plotting of your comedy. And I think it's, again, the editing, the directing, the score, like this sketch really comes together. It's short, sweet, to the point, and get away with some really off-the-wall choices.
All right, take us out.
Well, that does it for now until the next exciting reach into the Just Giggle grab bag. I'm sorry, Ty. I gotta push the button a little.